know that 60% of the calories that Americans consume come from ultra-processed foods? According to STAP in 2025, the very institutions that are supposed to protect our health are in fact allowing us to be saturated with chemicals, preservatives, and hormones in our food. As young adults and college students, we are especially vulnerable to this. Whether it be through the low-quality, poor food options that in our dining hall, or whether the increase in food allergies and intolerances to gluten and dairy, or the fact that fresh produce is often one of the most expensive items at the grocery store, the American food system directly impacts your future, your health, and your wallet. Today, I would like to persuade you that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s advocacy for an honest, more transparent food system is not just a political reform, it's a necessary public health reform that we must support and demand. Let's explore first why the American food system is failing us, second, what RFK Jr. proposes to fix it, and third, why this reform enhances, benefits our health, our economy, and our environment. So first, the American food system is failing us, and it's a broken system. Most of our diet is dominant through processed foods. According to Firm in 2018, 71% of Americans are obese or overweight. That's 100 million people. It's not just a statistic, it's a crisis. In fact, Ruiz Rosso found that substituting fresh foods for ultra-processed foods leads to chronic diseases, nutritional deficiencies, and long-term health damage, especially in adolescents. Even more alarming, people who have a lack of access to retrieve these fresh produce and options, healthy options at the grocery store, they have 7 times the risk of experiencing a stroke before the age of 45. And yet the FDA still allows these additives into our food products, the ones that are sometimes even more easily accessible for people. And as Firm highlights, over 55% of the standard American diet comes from processed foods. And the damage is not just the weight gain, it runs much deeper. Refined sugars and chemicals have been linked to cancer, dementia, and mental illnesses. And that's just a problem not only for our health, but for our body as well. Firm explains that refined carbohydrates and sugars give us this gut-brain connection and lead to a weaker immune system. That means by the time we reach digestion after we eat, sometimes from these ultra-processed foods, we are bloated, we receive discomfort, and we have fatigue. And that's a problem. So secondly, RFK wants to foster a system in which it's not fostering corporate profit, but actually our health. According to the Tilly distribution in 2023, the FDA takes a hands-off approach to our meals. This means that preservatives, hormones, and chemicals are allowed into our foods with minimal safety testing, and that's an issue. For comparison, the US only mandates 8 allergens on our food labels, whereas in Europe, they mandate 14 allergens be listed on their food labels. Why is that a problem? The US has limited the transparency to the consumers, to the American citizens, so we don't know what's all in our food products. And RFK Jr., he supports this increased transparency. He wants to make sure that consumers know exactly what they're putting in their bodies. He's a vocal opponent of corporate lobbying against companies like Monsanto, who have been pushing genetically modified seed oils and chemicals into our food systems. According to Yvonne in 2024, Monsanto's influence in Africa with figures like Bill Gates has led to what many call agricultural sabotage, because they've undermined local sustainable farmers in these countries because they are putting chemicals in the foods in the soil. As RFK Jr. stated in a recent campaign address, we will create an honest, transparent, gold science at the Health and Human Services Department, accountable to the President, to Congress, and to the American people. That's his goal. And thirdly, this reform food system benefits our health, our economy, and our environment. Through our health, we can reduce the chronic illnesses by preventable systems. A preventable action is a healthy, clean diet. According to Warren in 2022, he emphasizes that although these chronic diseases are very costly, they're also very preventable through a clean diet. Preventative care helps with long-term spending and reduces that spending not only for the individual but for also the healthcare system. Also, this reform benefits environmental sustainability. RFK Jr.'s food reform targets environmental degradation. Belletti in 2023 reports that sustainable farming helps with improving our soil and reduces carbon emissions in our air and in our soil as well, which leads to healthier food products. Not only this, but this reform also aids our consumer empowerment. Once we know what's at stake, we know what decisions to make. According to Alinga in 2009, he argues that policy-backed sustainable systems allow us to have better decisions that can fight against obesity and climate change. Now, let's be honest, our food system is broken, and it's a system that is a game to a lot of our government, where we're not getting this right transparency and the right quality ingredients for our body. The food system is exploiting farmers, it's poisoning our environment, and it's making us sick. As young adults and college students, we have the ability to make this change. We are the ones inheriting the repercussions, and we are the ones inheriting these problems, but we also have the power to change it. We often hear the phrase that food is fuel, but we need to ask the question, to what are we actually fueling our bodies with, and to what future are we building with it? I encourage you to read labels, to ask questions about what's in your food, to support your local and organic producers, and to be smart with your voice and your vote. RFK Jr.'s movement to overhaul the American food system is not just a political stance, it's about restoring our integrity, it's about protecting our health, and it's about reclaiming our voice as American people and our control about what we can put in our bodies. Our generation can lead this movement, one choice, one vote, and one meal at a time. Thank you.